Well, hello there. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Just like the title on the screen, we're going to write a custom NinjaTrader 8 indicator using ChatGPT with the latest language model that just came out, GPT-4, the other day. So let's get to it. We won't be doing any trading today. I already finished most of my trading this morning. Um, This is actually not NinjaTrader. This is Quant Tower. In this first part of this video, we'll just use ChatGPT to generate the NinjaTrader code. What our indicator will do. Well, let me step back. I have not written an NT8 indicator before. I've looked at some of the code, to help somebody debug a problem or make small minor changes, but nothing from scratch. And so that's what we're going to do today. I did attempt to create one a couple nights ago. I think I succeeded, but it took me about 2.5 hours to kind of, figure out how to get it all going. Now with ChatGPT, if I was truly inexperienced, I'm sure there would have been some ramp up time with the developer environment, whether it's Visual Studio or the NinjaScript Trader. But some of the things I was trying to do, I still had to dig through some APIs and the Google and Stack Overflow and such. We'll see if ChatGPT can help expedite some of that. So I'm logged into my ChatGPT Plus account. I'm going to choose ChatGPT 4. And if you haven't logged in or don't have ChatGPT Plus, there is a limit on how many messages you can consume or have ChatGPT generate for you. I don't quite know that metric. It's every 4 hours, and there's no way to find it that I know of. So now what I'm doing, I subscribed a couple days ago, is just using it as often as I can throughout the day and taking breaks in between. So let's go ahead and just start with the prompts here. I'm going to increase the font a smidge just to see. Can't hide the right window here. Well, hopefully that'll be big enough. We'll see. Let's say I want to I want to code a custom We'll just start with that and see what it says. Okay, C#. It's going to give you step by step. Okay, that sounds right. Wow, it tells you where it's even located. This is I think this first stage, because we asked such a simple question, is just walking through, giving you an overview of the layout of the code, which looks, from my limited experience, looks right. Okay, you can use Visual Studio. Oh, it's gonna go ahead and give us a SMA indicator. Yeah, you get most of this for free, when you create a new indicator via NinjaTrader. But sometimes, that what they give you comes so fast that it is helpful to get a little walkthrough here. It does some error checking there with the current bar being less than the period count. I don't think it actually plots it because it didn't set it to value, the value array, or the values array, one of the two. Let me screw up. Add line, add plot, okay. Cool. Alrighty. Well, let's see if we can, go beyond the basics here and say, I want to, let's see. Let's see, candle coloring. I'll just put WA. Let's see, what did it write? The first moving average will use the difference between the current price and the previous price as its input. The second moving average will use the absolute value of that difference. Okay, that looks right. So it looks like, again, from my experimentation, ChatGPT is great at helping you get started. Not necessarily modifying code afterwards, just because once you've made your customizations, unless you communicate that to ChatGPT as it generates additional code, you'll have to manage between what you've changed and what it's generating. It's doable, it's just that you spend a lot of time just talking to it versus typing code that you can do quickly. Right, like if you need to change a variable name or comment something out or this and that. When I was doing this by hand, I couldn't find a Wilder's moving average in the list of indicators, and I'm not sure where it's getting its WMA right now. But it looks like we're getting the input of the first one to be the close minus the previous close versus, so there's a slight difference there on, we'll stop in a little bit. Oh, it's also doing line color or candle coloring for me. It inferred based on the name of the indicator that it did this conditional coloring here where if one is greater than the other, change that. This is not the exact logic that I want, but at least it tells me, well, that's candle outline, not the actual bar color. And it's providing now the properties. that I can customize with that. Cool, so this is the line that I was pointing out earlier. Actually, no, this line right here. There's a slight difference between these two. One is just calling close versus close, with the offset of 0 or the current bar. Now, I don't know. Again, I don't have much experience in NinjaTrader, but this, if the time series data for the close value is actually called close, then this is right. The close, if you don't pass in an index, it just assumes the current bar is close. That's cool. I mean, that, I don't know where the WAMA, I don't know if that's a valid class that is being referenced. I know, like I said, I had to customize my own, but because I couldn't find it on the list of or indicators that I could use, but that's okay. Let's go on. I also So while it's generating this and slowly typing it out, it's not going to replace the job of a programmer, but it definitely is a good tool to help an experienced developer get started on a new project where it's, generating custom stuff with names and certain values, so that you don't have to, if you're copy and pasting from an existing indicator in this case, there's a chance you will screw up by forgetting to replace a certain name or value somewhere. Whereas here, it's it's basically a giant input form. While you're communicating with it, you can tell it, say, like the is overlay portion. You can say, I don't want to print it on the main chart. I want to print it or display it on a subplot. I believe it can, detect that and set these parameters to false for you. So it's creating a new period parameter for us. It forgot to plot the WAMAs, but that's okay. It's fairly easy to do. But that is something to be aware of, that I could probably make a request to say I don't want to plot the EMA. Okay, it's using the built-in update functions. So this is a little different than the previous code generated. Yeah, I don't think it, I could be wrong, I'll have to scroll up once it finishes generating this. I know that if I were to scroll up now, it may stop generating what it's currently doing. So I'm going to wait till it finishes. So we're about 12, 13 minutes in, and we've got a good framework, for our indicator. I don't know if it'll compile yet. That'll be in the next video. I'll copy the contents of this. Alright, looks like it got stuck, and I see this quite often, is if it's a lot of lines of code, you may have to type continue for it to finish printing out, and then it's not in the right display box. So you're just getting it as plain text, basically. You'll just have to know when you copy and paste. That's cool. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do here, after it finishes this, for this video, is I'm going to have it not plot the EMA. Okay. I mean, I could do it by hand, but this is just an example. On state change. I don't want to plot the enemy. Yeah, I don't know why the code generation is going line by line. I don't know if it's a server thing. It was a little bit faster when I was doing something else last night with React in helping me generate. I'm learning React as well, and I was just asking it to help me implement a new library to make API calls, and it was much faster. I don't know if it's because the trained model or the React portion of its knowledge is easier to connect versus something like this. I don't know. I don't quite know how machine learning and these language models work. Which reminds me of a phrase that ChatGPT and other generative AI, they know enough to be dangerous. It doesn't mean what they share with you and generate for you is correct. You as the end user will have to be mindful to evaluate each line of code, each default value is correct. And it may not have done everything in the most idiomatic or preferred way, but I'm fairly certain that it will work with some tweaking and debugging. Alright, it looks like it removed our add plot from the on state change where it set the defaults, and now on bar update it's gonna hopefully use a different bar coloring. Oh, it's just doing the candle outline. There's another method called to paint the bar itself. I'll see if I could just prompt it on that on the bar update. Looks like it got, nope, it didn't get stuck on the same section of code as it did last time. Maybe. So once this completes, what I would do is go to NinjaTrader and go to the code editor portion and click new indicator and give it the same name as what I have named this so that I can copy this code into it right away. And if there's any naming changes I do in my code, I'd come back to this conversation in ChatGPT and said, hey, I want to name my indicator this now. That way it'll know in its conversation history what the new name is. So if you ask it to do anything else, you can do that with the class name itself or the variable names or any private methods you may have, just so that you stay consistent between the conversation and what you have in your code. Of course, if you are no longer in need of referencing the conversation, you can go ahead and do whatever you want in your own code. I'm just going to ask one more thing in the on bar update method. How do I paint the bar? Because I know this is like, as if I was to take the code, run it and all that, it'll just paint the outline, but I want the bar itself. I know it's a different method, or at least I think I know. Candle color instead of candle outline. Okay. So if you haven't used ChatGPT 4 to generate code, you can, if you were more specific with your prompts, like in this case I said on the on-bar update method, I want to do this instead. It'll just go straight to that. And if you want, if it starts just ellipsing things and say, oh, there's previous code here, I'm just going to print a new prompt, you can always say print me the whole on-bar update method, and it'll do that. So now between the two examples that it's provided with candle outline and candle color, I have enough information to add my own if logic here to do that. The last thing I'll do is awesome. Oh, I hope it doesn't print the whole thing. Oh, it is. Okay. I don't know if it's doing this just to slow down, although I can stop generating anytime. Just slow me down so I don't have to type more prompts in, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here as the first part of this series. It won't be a long series, but who knows. In the next one, what I'll do is I'll take the code that's been generated here, I'll go into NinjaTrader, and I'll copy and paste most of what I have and assimilate the two, and we'll see what we get. Alright, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned for part number 2.